Our top focus, history in the making, as Chandrayaan-3 is just one step away from completing its exhilarating journey to the moon. In a series of maneuvers, the spacecraft has executed its fifth and final lunar-bound orbit maneuver, propelling itself towards lunar glory. Now, the brave Vikram Lander has separated from the propulsion module successfully, taking its last step before the historic moon rendezvous. The final countdown is officially underway. The last big milestone is successfully achieved before Chandrayaan-3 takes its triumphed lunar plunge. Let me go across to my colleague Dharani, joining me live on the broadcast. Dharani, good afternoon. Clearly great news as far as this is concerned. Tell us more.
The Vikram Lander has successfully been separated from the propulsion module of Chandrayaan-3. So after almost 34 days of a journey together, the Vikram Lander and the propulsion module, they are parting their ways. So now the Vikram Lander will travel towards the surface of the moon, and the soft landing is expected to take place anytime on August 23, and this will make India the first ever country to have landed a spacecraft near the south pole of the moon. And remember in 2019, this is where we lost. The lander of Chandrayaan-2 was not functioning effectively, and that there was a crash landing during the landing phase. And this time the scientists at ISRO have designed a fail-proof design, which means that even if certain elements of Chandrayaan-3 fail, the Vikram lander will still be able to establish a soft landing on the south pole of the moon, near the south pole of the moon, is what we're given to understand. So and for that to happen, this separation of Vikram lander and the propulsion module is very crucial. Only if this separation happens flawlessly.
All right, Dharani, I'd have to interject you there, but I do have K. Shivan, former ISRO chief, joining me on the broadcast as well. Mr. Shivan, I appreciate you taking the time out and speaking to us here on Mirror Now. This is, of course, wonderful news that's coming in. Your first reaction before we get talking about other aspects of India's moon mission?
No, it is actually.
Okay, Shivan, if you can hear me, thank you very much for taking the time out and speaking to us here on Mirror Now. This is, of course, wonderful news that's coming in as far as India's moon mission is concerned. Your first reaction before we get talking about other aspects of this? All right, we seem to have lost that connection, but let me go across to Dharani, of course, who's continuing to tell us more about this top significant development that we are tracking. Dharani, coming back to you, of course, you were pointing out the key takeaways. Also, tell us in a quick sense what can be expected next.
In the next 5 days, the Vikram lander will travel towards the moon's surface.
All right, Dharani, I'll have to interject you there.
One...
Apologies for that. Let me go across to K. Sivan, who is the former ISRO chief, joining us on the broadcast. So thank you very much for your time and speaking to us here on Mirror Now. Your first reaction about this great news that's coming in before we get talking about other aspects?
This is a very critical operation. We could do it successfully. So now the next operations will start from now onwards, Okay.
Kesivan, as you point that out, of course, you had said earlier that you were anxious but sure of Chandrayaan success that will be achieved, Chandrayaan-3. Why do you believe so?
No, this definitely the moon missions are very, very tough task. So we are all anxiety will be there during that mission. But this time that we have whatever mistakes happened in the Chandrayaan-2 which have been corrected and marked. So that way that this time success will be, but we are expecting it will be success. Okay.
Okay, Sivan, as you point that out in the larger aspect of things, a quick question would be about India's moon mission. You know, this entire mission for what the country would be looking to achieve. Your perspective on that?
Oh, definitely it is by having the success of this mission, India will acquire new technology. Second one is that by going to a land at an unexplored region and doing scientific experiment. And new science outcomes will be expected from this mission. So that way it's going to be a unique mission, and it will be different than other missions.
Right, Kesavan, and before I let you go, would you see any challenges at this point of time which could be avoided in your opinion?
No, challenges it's not different too, but the challenges that we have made extra effort to overcome the challenges. So this time we are expecting this to be successful. Okay.
Right. Right. Thank you very much for your time, Kesavan. That was, of course, the former ISRO chief saying that they are, of course, hoping that this is going to be successful, and his first reaction over the same. But for the moment, we leave that conversation over there. All right. Dharani, coming back to you, of course, we heard what Kesavan had to say, the former ISRO chief. In fact, a few days ago, when he was also commenting on this entire mission, he spoke about the key aspects that they learned from the previous mission that you were also pointing out. So if you could draw perspective into that as to how this is such a huge operation for the country as well overall as far as the moon mission is concerned.
India has had 3 moon missions so far. When Chandrayaan-1 was launched, we had a historic revelation. Chandrayaan-1 discovered the presence of water molecules on the moon, and we were the first country to discover that. So Chandrayaan-1, has always been a part of, a significant part of India's space history. But when it comes to Chandrayaan-2, the success was only partial. In 2019, when Chandrayaan-2 was launched, the lander crash landed, during the landing phase onto the moon surface, and the mission was only a partial success. It cannot be called as a complete failure. I come across a lot of people who call it a failure, but the Chandrayaan-2's orbiter is still rounding a moon, and we are still getting inputs from Chandrayaan-2's orbiter. So the mission cannot be called as a complete failure. It's a partial success. Partial success would be the right word. And as far as Chandrayaan-3 is concerned, this is our second attempt to make a soft landing on the moon, and this time we are targeting the south pole of the moon. And this, as I told, Chandrayaan-3 is expected to make this a soft landing on August 23, that is 5 days later from now on. And this will make India the first ever country to land a spacecraft near the south pole of the moon. And whatever the inputs that we are able to get through Chandrayaan-3, this will be useful for our Gaganyaan mission also. Gaganyaan is our first manned mission to moon that is currently taking shape. The scientists are currently working on it, and we can expect the launch of Gaganyaan anytime in next year is what we're given to understand. So the inputs that we're able to get from Chandrayaan-3, they will have a direct impact and consequence in Gaganyaan also, because these inputs will directly be fed into Gaganyaan, and that will improve and improvise the Gaganyaan mission is what ISRO Chief Somnath had told us in our previous interview. And Chandrayaan-3 is expected to perform a lot of scientific and both quantitative and qualitative experiments on the surface of the south pole of the moon. And the inputs that we get through this mission will definitely play a very crucial role in our further moon missions, especially Gaganyaan-3. Gaganyaan.
Absolutely, Dharani. I appreciate you. Absolutely, Dharani. I appreciate you joining us in the broadcast on the top development, not only telling us the latest, but also drawing things into perspective as to how this would unfold. But for the moment, we leave it at that and shift our focus to more